Hey, happy Sunday. This is a PFG.Live, the podcast dedicated to the writings of internet philosopher. Hey man, why didn't you? Hey man, why don't you just drill and tap holes in the wheels and then you could put screws in those? Welcome aboard. It's a great Sunday. We got a bunch of guys. We were talking about machine rebuilding in the Discord just before we showed up. Mr. Warren Jones from the north of New Hampshire in Sutton says it's 80 degrees with a south wind at 5 knots, 73% humidity, partly sunny. Evils somewhere in the great expanse of across the sea says it is 31.3 relative humidity. Don't question it. Scott from Flat Rock Machining, welcome aboard, sir. At Kilo Sierra Tango Sierra reports 160 at 10 knots, 8-mile visibility. I don't know what that means. Haze clear. No, you're screwing with me now. You're screwing with me. Okay. That's okay. One pilot can screw with another pilot. That is completely legal. Dale says it's 14 degrees science and rating as always in Canada. He is in Edmonton, Alberta, where they are now soaked. Nick Weymouth in Toronto, Canada, actually Brockville, Ontario, sorry, says it's 24 science, raining cats and dogs and polar bears. Welcome aboard. Oh, is that smoke? The Foxtrot uniform is smoke? Wow. I'll get back to you. Over on the YouTube side, we have Mr. Carl Quib says it's 74 degrees Frankenstein with thick smoke from Oregon in south central Idaho. Welcome aboard, sir. Let's see. iPhone Doc says, good morning, world. And we say good morning to you, too. Carl Tauber, down my neighbor to the south in the Rhode Island, it says it's 81 degrees and cloudy and muggy in Rhode Island. I think I got every... Oh, no, CJ. CJ Stevens says it's 79 degrees, but 87% humidity in East Tennessee. Welcome aboard. On and off showers. Machined Creations is here. He says it's smoky and 77 in south central Idaho. Dave G says it's 73 degrees, 79% humidity. Pressure, 29.8. Rain dissipating in northwest Ohio. And wifey projects on hold for the next hour or so. Thank you to the honorable wifey. Here in the Windham, New Hampshire, right now, the temperature is 84 with a humidity of 58%. Winds out of the south at 10 miles an hour. And I just heard my wife stop mowing. It was perfect timing. I think she was actually watching the clock. The Manchester, New Hampshire airport is reporting 190 at 11 knots, 10-mile visibility, scattered at 4,000, scattered at 8,000, broken at 25,000, temperature 30, dew point 19, altimeter 29993. So we are here and we are ready. We're going to have a good time today, but you better have your nerd hat ready because we're going to be talking about some pretty nerdy things. First, let's get the report from the Flat Cave.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
So 4-inch stones are in process. They actually are coming out molto bono. They're almost finished. I'll finish them this evening, and they'll ship on Monday. Also, I'm going to wait until I have confirmation of this, but I may have a very exciting new flag to put up on the website for customers elsewhere. So stay tuned for that. I don't think I can talk about it quite yet. And also, I just want to say a mea culpa. I have a project that I haven't been talking a lot about, but it's a client project, and it got hung up. And I got hung up on something, and it took too long, and I got pinged by the customer, and I felt just awful. So the takeaway, the learning from it was, I was trying to execute the perfect result instead of going to P2. I was trying to go directly to R1, which was a mistake. So if you find yourself stuck on a project and you've done P1, do P2. Don't be fancy about it. And eventually you will get to the point where you could bring it in for a landing. So you know who you are. I apologize. I feel bad about that, but we'll move it ahead. And then we'll have a story to tell right here on the PFG Live. Let's see, community notes. We have some community notes. Dale reports he crashed a probe. So we'll all take a moment to think about, Dale's probe. Nick W. is here. Nick Weymouth is up in Canada, and he has a new shop, and we were talking about it this morning. Congratulations, Nick. That is awesome. And that was the only 2 external community notes that I had, and we will move on. Thank you very much.
The secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions. Good luck, Jim.
So this has been a weird couple of weeks. If you may recall, I'm just going to give you a little background here, and if you haven't been following, I'm going to bring you up to speed so that you know what the heck we're talking about today. The act of running a surface grinder involves a lot of things. And one of the things that we do is we balance our grinding wheels. And the reason we do this is because an unbalanced grinding wheel shows up in the finish. Have you ever driven a car that threw a wheel weight, right? In other words, you have your tires are balanced, but for some reason, the little balancing weights got thrown off, and all of a sudden you feel this rumbling in one of your wheels. You go to your mechanic, they rebalance your wheel on your vehicle, and everything smooths out. Well, imagine that on your surface grinder. So we have a requirement to do that in order to get the best quality grinds on the grinder. There's also some, myths that a small surface grinder doesn't need balanced wheels because it's small. Well, that ain't true. Or you have to ditch some of your standards of quality. A small surface grinder also has a smaller diameter spindle, and it is a little more susceptible to an out of balance condition. But no matter what, as Robin says, and he'll probably confirm later, everything is rubber. So if we have an imbalance in the wheel, it's going to start bouncing up and down. And that's not good. iPhone Doc is reporting 82 degrees and sunny with low winds, humidity 50 to 60%, clear skies. And thank you. Thank you very much. But you didn't give your location. And I don't remember your location from last time. So we have to do that. Bishop Metal is beating the drum. Everything is rubber. So we learn how to balance our wheels. And this process has had a lot of representation out there. And as you know, if you've been following the podcast for a while, one of my least favorite teachings on the internet was somebody who I will not identify, teaching you to take a carbide drill bit and drill holes in your wheel to remove weight in order to balance it. Do not do this. So today we're going to talk about our techniques, and I designed the B200 balancing ring, which I started using for balancing my my wheels. Also, there's a bunch of ways to balance the wheel. The way we're going to be talking about today primarily is what's called a rolling arbor balancing stand. Okay, I sell a stand called the BS8, and that is a rolling arbor balancing stand. And well, I'm going to show it later, but I just want to set up the mental picture here. One of the challenges is, how do you balance it? Okay, now that you have all the pieces, you have a balancing stand, you have a way to add weight, which is a balancing ring, and now you're ready to balance. What do you do? So what we've been teaching over the last year or so is sort of a look for the heavy spot by letting the thing settle and then putting a weight on the other side and then see what happens. And the name we're going to give that method is called the static method. So you're looking for the static behavior of a wheel to find out where its heavy spot is, and you're adding a correction weight on the other side. I came up with a way that was better. And we taught that 2 podcasts ago, and it's called TTB, or time to balance. And this is, if you want the full treatise, you can head over to the website and go to pfg.gg/bal for balance, and that has the balancing stand information page, but also it teaches the method, and there's a full physics simulator to play with about the balancing method called TTB. In a sentence, what the method is not to statically let the wheel sit there to determine the heavy spot, but to rotate the wheel a little bit from that stable position, let go, and let it swing and time the period of oscillation. And that gives you more information. That gives you, that overcomes some errors. It compensates for some errors, and it gives you a number to go with your imbalance condition. So if it's a fast oscillation, it's very out of balance. And if it's a very slow oscillation, then you're approaching perfection. And you now have a number that you read off your stopwatch. So that, in essence, is TTB. Nick Weymouth asks, thank you, Nick. By the way, Unix Carbide is checking in from Brooklyn, New York. Welcome back, sir. Unix was traveling. He is reporting 82 degrees Fahrenheit and wonderfully out of balance in Brooklyn, New York. Welcome aboard, sir. Nick Weymouth says, is there an orientation one needs to start at when balancing? And the answer is no. What we teach nominally, and Robin has an interesting story about this we'll get to later, but what we teach nominally is grab the light side, that's the top of your wheel, rotate 90 degrees, and let go. And that's how you trigger it. The interesting thing of the TTB method is that if you do less than 90 degrees and you let go, the period of time that you're going to measure is not going to change. The period is the period. So you're starting it differently, but you're not going to get any different numbers. Okay? I hope I answered your question, Nick. With all that background and all the discussion of balancing rings, so was it 2 weeks ago? Robin says to me, he says, you have all the information you need to do a deterministic calculation, and I was calling it one and done, and that led to writing the software called RingCalc, which we talked about in detail last week. That wasn't the end of the story. So at this point, I'm going to bring Robin in, and we will continue the story. Please welcome aboard Mr. Robin Renzetti. Robin, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Wonderful.
So we've been. Robin says we took the first version of the RingCalc, and I sent it over to Robin. I said, play with it, because it required a B200 balancing ring. The software was set up for the B200 balancing ring, and I said, play with it. So Robin starts playing with it, and he's like, wow, this is pretty interesting. Can you make it work for my balancing ring? So in the thumbnail is a picture of Robin holding his balancing ring and a picture of me holding my balancing ring. And the funny thing I got a bunch of messages. One of the messages said something like, it looks like you're getting called out. And, we gave the impression that this is going to be a battle of the balancing rings, but actually it's not. It's achieving the same goals with two different balancing rings through optimizing and reformulating the RingCalc software. And I would say, and Robin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that we have achieved some serious success this week and it's been pretty cool. Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely.
So let me just show real quick. If you haven't played with it yet, this is what it looks like. This is the RingCalc software. If you go to pfg.gg/RingCalc, you'll see version 1 of this, okay? And it works great with the B200 balancing ring. And just to give you an idea, where's my data? I have some data here. We took the where is it? Oh, it's on the other side of the piece of paper. We took the B200 balancing ring and went to here it is, an 8-inch wheel, never touched, right out of the packaging from Norton. And we started balancing it. And we ended up with a first measurement of 18 seconds TTB. Also, I said last time, let me just make this bigger. I had to use a brass socket head cap screw in order to pass the flip check. If you don't know what a flip check is, just again go back to the software and it will teach you. Okay, but once I did that and I got 18 seconds, I did another pass with the software and I got 36 seconds. So that was one pass, okay, with the RingCalc software, and I was at 36 seconds. And what we're teaching is 25 seconds is enough. So that was one and done. And I was pretty excited about that. But then I did another pass because you're able to say, okay, that was good. Now leave the screws in there and keep going. And I was able to achieve 49 seconds, which is crazy. So what that means is you're standing there watching the wheel oscillate, and it takes 49 seconds for it to go from one side to the other side and then back to where you started. That's one cycle. So Robin says to me, he says, "Hey, what about my rings?" Do you have the ring handy, Robin?
You can go get one.
I'll tell you what, I'll keep talking, and once you just go grab one. So Robin's gonna go grab that, and he'll be back. So the theory is that if we are able to accommodate my ring and his ring, then he could use the tool also. So that's how we started the week. Let's see, put up the. So you will note that RingCalc in this screen, it says version 2 dev. So this is a development version. This is version 2. This is not yet publicly available, but I just want to show you how it works. In the upper right-hand corner of the ring map, when we're setting things up, you can actually, in this particular case, of course, I have to click on the correct screen here. Instead of the B200, you could use the Renz ring. And there's the Renz ring. So now we gave the software all of the details of Robin's balancing ring. And we taught it the bolt hole circle diameter. We gave it the mass of the wheel of the balancing ring. And Robin's ring, goes on the flange of the Sopco hub. So there you go. So if you look at the Sopco hub, I'll turn it around this way. There's the outer flange here is, what did we measure? 2 1/4?
Yeah.
So Robin's ring slips over the 2 1/4 flange, and it has a set screw. The B200 slips over the little boss that pops out on the side of the Sopco ring, and it has a set screw. So fundamentally, they're doing the same thing. They were developed, independently and in parallel. And we taught the software all about Robin's geometry. So let's
Can I jump in just a second?
Yes.
The reason my rings were done for using my Dynex hobby balancer on the grinder. So that's the reason I made this ring. So it was just able to adapt it for the TTB, but that original creation of these was for that.
So show the other side, because so when Robin made these, he has a story about this. It has the degrees marked, and it's every 10 degrees for around the circle. There you go. And then when we started getting it ready to use RingCalc, we wanted to label the holes individually. So now if you flip it over, you'll see the new laser. Now Robin lasered these; they look great, and this gives a unique identifier for each hole. Excellent, thank you, Robin. And then if we look at RingCalc, there it is. There's each hole on Robin's ring and has a unique identifier. So I worked with Eager Intern, and we generated version 2, and the first of the version 2, and Robin, you went off and you tried it. And I'm going to ask you about that in a second. But first, oh no, we answered that question. Oh, iPhone doc, you're in orange. Excellent. Thank you for reminding me. So when you used version 2 for the first time with what we're calling the Renz ring, which I like that name, what was your experience?
It worked as prescribed there. It typically took about 3 passes to get to to get to 40, but worked just as you'd expect.
Now I recall that the first time you used it, I'm going to bring up our text string here. If I go way back, let's see.
You know, our phone text string. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, you said, I think the first one was initial 14 seconds. And then oh no, that was when we had maybe an error. What was the next one? This makes for exciting podcasting, doesn't it? So do you remember, then we made some changes to the software. So one of the things we noticed on the software, based on Robin's observations, is that, well, the very first thing we noticed is the failure to completely describe how to time the period. So Robin timed from one reversal to the other reversal, which is only half a period. So we were chasing this error off into the weeds, and then a light bulb went on, right? And it was like, hey, wait a minute. So then we added to the software some very specific language, which is, let's see if I can show it to you. Right here, this big box that says time 1 complete cycle, a full period, start counting at the reversal point, and it basically teaches in that little paragraph exactly what you should do. So we took care of that problem. And then Robin did another timing, and I think that's when you got to 40 seconds or so.
Yes.
And it wasn't quite as good as it should have been. I think you might have done 3 passes to get to something like 47 seconds or 50 seconds. Yeah. And then Robin came up, asked the right question. He's like, you said, how is it measuring the inertia of the hub? And do you remember what we discovered?
Yeah, well, yeah, but I actually modeled the hub in SolidWorks to get the true rotational moment of inertia.
Yep.
And then and then we plugged in the correct radius for that, and then that improved things immensely as far as the first cut accuracy.
Yeah, it turned out I asked the Eager Intern, and I said, well, what are you assuming for the hub? And it says, well, I'm assuming the diameter of the arbor. Like, oh, hey, buddy. that was a way under us calculating the inertia. So that's when Robin did his CAD approximation of the SOPCO hub. We took that information, we handed it off to Eager Intern. Eager Intern says, "Oh, that's different." I'm like, "Yeah, that's different." So we improved the algorithm, and the next session that you had, I think it was only three. Was it only two passes? And you were at 50 plus. Am I remembering correctly?
I think it was still 3 passes, but it was immensely better. Initially, the first cut was not the reduction that we expected, and I think some of that might be because my total assembly, other than the wheel mass, was higher than yours, and it wasn't really a huge improvement on the first pass. If you kept going, it would get to it. But the first cut you would expect to be much more accurate.
Yeah, so let me just show, I'm going to show the tool again. So when you start the balancing, you're entering the wheel diameter, the wheel mass, and then you're entering the non-rotating mass, which is the arbor, the adapter, and the ring. So the really good part about Robin doing his experiments was that his ring is aluminum, and it's lighter weight, although it's larger in diameter. And his wheel was a much lighter wheel. I think that was that an aluminum core CBN wheel?
No, that was a vitrified CBN wheel. Vitrified core, silicon carbide vitrified core with a CBN vitrified outer layer.
Okay. So the masses were all different, and that helped us uncover some improvements. So after that's all entered, you start entering the what we call the light hole. So when the wheel is sitting at rest on the balancing stand, whatever's on top, you identify the hole name and you just report that in this particular instance. And all that does is it just is a sanity check. It removes a ambiguity, and then you enter in. You start it oscillating, like we said. You just rotate it 90 degrees and let go. And it's very important that you don't start timing when you let go. That's because you've affected the measurement. It has to go to a reversal. It'll come up. It'll stop. That's when you start your stopwatch. Then it goes through, does another reversal, and then it comes back to where it was, and you stop your stopwatch. But you also are identifying which hole was on top at the moment of the reversal. And one of the improvements that Robin came up with, excuse me, was we split the holes. So instead of just hole 18 or hole 17, if it was between hole 18 and hole 17, then we gave it a halfway point. So now you could enter those halfway points also. That was a great improvement. And finally, another improvement was, instead of limiting you to 25 seconds to declare victory, you can now run that up to 60 seconds and go crazy, because what is it that we say? It's good enough is not good enough. So after all of that, we started getting like ridiculously good balance times. And did you start grinding with that wheel after balancing? Did you get a chance to grind with?
No.
Not yet? Okay.
No. I can feel it, that it's good.
Yeah.
Just feeling the grinder.
So the thing that we're almost taking for granted in reporting this to you guys is that we're literally putting numbers on the quality of the balance. That hasn't happened before. There were no really good ways to do that. I know, Robin, you're using the little electronic widget, and it probably is giving you quality of balance, or actually the
Yes.
The
gram millimeter or whatever.
Yep. But if you're doing the static method teaches you zero about how close you are, and the TTB method and then using RingCalc give you very quick results. So how long do you think it's taking now to go from sitting down to balancing a wheel to being balanced using this method?
Probably less than 10 minutes to do a wheel. Now, some of that's because I don't have an optimum setup for, I have my balancer sitting on my saw as a stable reference place because my shop is very densely packed. So I'm walking back and forth from where I'm putting the set screws in to where I'm actually checking it, and so I don't have the most efficient setup there for that. But yeah, it's very quick.
And it's probably very quick to even better numbers than we've accepted before. I would think.
Yes.
Well, maybe not you've accepted before, but most people have accepted before. So you were telling the story. I don't know if you were telling it on the after party roundtable. It probably was on the after party roundtable. That in some of the balancing you have done, you've literally taken the set screws and just kissed off a teeny bit of metal from them to get the resolution of what you needed.
On balancing where I'm using set screws, yeah, but that's not really with this setup. Now that's not even going to be necessary as long as you have a good selection of screws. I have a very wide selection of screws from 3 millimeter
Yep.
up to 10 millimeter of M4 screws.
So
I have
let me show everybody. So this is the version 2 RingCalc. You can see there's Robin's ring, right? And then there's Robin's screw library. So for the two different rings, we have two different screw libraries. And when I asked Robin what was his screw library, he sent it to me, and I'm like, okay, fine. And we just threw it all into the screw library. So you have screws going from 3 millimeters up to 12 millimeters, M4. And then on the right, you can see there's the screw weights ranging from 0.13 grams up to 0.76 grams. And that's part of what, and correct me if I'm wrong, but part of what gets you to this almost one and done is having enough choices for the optimization algorithm to choose from, so that it can find the solution.
Yes, and it can do a good job, but if you're and it can do a good job by doing all kinds of techniques to use two screws actually at 90 degrees where the place is, one on either side, and then slowly moving them in holes at a time to the effective effect they have on the imbalance is adjustable, but that's limited into how fine the resolution can get on that. So the more screw variety you have there, it gives it more to work with.
Mr. Tim Beatty says, can you measure balance by turning between centers and checking run out? No, that's not what you're. So, but you bring up a good point, because what's going to happen is if you true the wheel. Well, you know what, Mr. Tim Beatty, I'm going to take your idea in a second. I want to run with it for a minute. Evil says both these rings have the screws going in axially, not radially, and the answer is
yes.
Yes. So that there's pluses and minuses here. The plus is if the screw is in all the way or not quite all the way, it really doesn't change anything. There are some ideas we're throwing around about other flavors of balancing screws that go in radially, but that is beyond the scope of this discussion. Okay, so yeah, they're going in axially.
I would say that the how well this works, and with at least with the higher count number of screw ring, the need for that adjustability on rate using screws in and out radially is just not going to be. It's not even going to be an issue. It's just not worth the machining time difference and all that, because it can nail these very close with the other ones.
Yeah, so we talked about this a little bit, and a radial screw can give you a fine adjustment, which is potentially useful in some situations. However, we're spending 10 minutes and we're getting to as good a balance as you could almost get to. So it's not, as Robin just said, that isn't worth chasing.
It might be good to just restate for the audience. We have no idea how much in gear they are, but that the residual balance is given in a distance mass statement, and it means that, and let's just use gram millimeter. If you have a 2 gram millimeter imbalance left, it means that if you take either 1 gram at a 2 millimeter radius or vice versa, that's how much imbalance is left. And basically imbalance is the center of mass not lying on the center of rotation. That's what it is. The distance from the center of rotation to the actual center of gravity of the wheel. That is what's actually doing that. So the numbers that the RingCalc at the moment is using gram inches for its internal calculations.
But to be fair, Robin, the only reason we're using gram inches is to drive Evils crazy. How we doing, Evils? Yeah, that's a throwback to how it all started. And all I have to do is just basically tell Eager Intern to clean up its act, but that'll come later. Yeah. That'll come later. Just kidding, Evils.
Go ahead. I interrupted you.
Let's see. Evil says, "Oh, the mentioning of the inch unit in the field, but also the double quote inch marking on the drop-down menu is doing plenty to lose my sanity." Dude, we can clean this up. This is Pete. What are we? We're at about P2 here. Just hang in there. Dave G says U equals M times R. Thank you very much, Dave. Michael Tate says, "I'm loving this. 20 years ago, I used to balance 36-inch diameter, 3 foot wide. No, had to be 3-inch wide grinding wheels for CNC cylindrical grinder. I had the 3 weights and would love to see you add the 3 weight method." We are absolutely considering that. The problem is, Dale, I have something to say about that. The problem is with the 3 weight method is that we need to have the markings on the hub so that we know where the weights are. And not all of, like, I have a 3 weight hub that doesn't have the markings. I know typically they do. Like, Dale, could you get a close up of the markings on your 3 weight hub there? Because I think that's appropriate. Yeah, Proteum Machining says you should change it to grams per barley corn. I don't even know what that is. So there's a close-up. Yeah, there's a close-up of the... that's from Evils. Hang on. Well, we got 2 close-ups. So there's one from Evils right there. That shows the 3 weight method with the pointer pointing at the scale. And then there's Dale's also. So we can add this, but hang in there. we have to get to first base first. So somebody asked a question which is worth discussing, Robin, and I think what I want to do is walk through like what I started doing here, putting a brand new wheel on a hub. You know, what is the process, and using our RingCalc. So you correct me if I'm wrong. The first thing is, of course, mounting a hub to the wheel and making sure the hub is in good condition and making sure you have 2 blotter papers, one on each side. and that you're using the correct hub. Okay. And one of the things I found, and I'd like to hear your take on this, Robin, is I found that one of the biggest errors that I made when I was a young punk was failing to torque the hub nut adequately and the wheel shifting.
Yes.
Do you have a...
And I can just say that if you take a standard Sopco wrench,
Yeah.
with that little, whatever it is, 6
Yeah.
or 7 inch handle,
Yeah.
that is severely insufficient torque to hold a grinding wheel properly.
Yeah.
Just not even close. So I have about probably a 15-inch. I have a piece of tubing on my Sopco wrench, permanent. So I have about a 15-inch arm there, and I don't actually use torque, but I would say I'm probably putting, I don't know, at least 40, 50 foot-pounds of
Yeah.
torque on there.
And just so everybody could... Yeah, go ahead.
The blotters, especially on a brand new wheel, the blotters compress, and it's very common for wheels to loosen up if you don't really tighten them too. Now, you could get too extreme and actually crush the center of the wheel, so you don't want to go, too far. It's not like you can't tighten the wheel too tight. You can tighten it too tight.
I was told you just
very hard.
I was told you just crush the wheel and then you back off a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to hear the crunchy sound when you stop.
Guys, that was a joke, okay? All right.
Well, I will add one little technique. Some of your initial imbalance when you put a wheel on is the play between the Sopco hub and the ID of the wheel. Most of them are not a snug fit. So I take a Post-it note and I cut strips about maybe 3/16 wide and fold them over the lip of the Sopco adapter so that when I put the wheel on, it goes down over and I have those 3 equally spaced, and I make them thick enough that when I go on, I have to basically just squeeze it on. That centers the wheel on the Sopco nicely. The part that sticks out on the I put the nut right over it, let the tabs of the Post-it note just get crushed, and that will save you a lot of balancing weights.
So funny you should mention that, because on this particular wheel, and the reason I had to go to the brass set screw, I actually loosened up the hub, pushed the wheel to compensate for the heavy side, and then tightened it up again, and it was not enough. So when you pick up one of these factory fresh wheels, you have to be prepared to make the wheel round and make it a wheel. Because especially with the vitrified wheels, right out of the box from Norton, this is not a dig on Norton, as they know. I love them, but it's not necessarily round. It's not necessarily going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Coaxial with the hub. It might be tilted. I show on my website, a silicon carbide wheel that went on, and it was like, and it had to be, the sides had to be trued. Everything had to be trued. So, all right. So we got to the point where you've put a hub on the wheel. Those, if you're not familiar with grinding wheel hubs, these two spanner holes right here, okay, those are the holes that you put the tool in to gronkulate on it to tighten that up. And there's also two here, but they're covered up right now by the balancing wheel. So you torque up that nut, call it 50 foot-pounds. It's probably not a bad number. And then I'm just reading everybody's stuff here. I think we're hitting all the questions. And now you're ready. Now here's the question. Do you true first or do you balance first? So
I would true first.
I used to think that you would balance, of course, and then true, and then balance. But now I also believe you put it on the machine, no balance wheel, and true it. Is that what you would do, Robin?
Especially depending on what kind of grinding you do. Most of the wheels that I would dress, I would automatically dress a dish in the one side of the wheel for face grinding, all the way up to the blotter with an actual, angle dresser, and dress that side of the wheel. So anything you're going to do to the wheel that's going to shape it, including making it run true to the spindle, I would do first, especially the face dress, if you're going to face grind.
Yeah.
And then proceed from there.
Yeah. So what Robin is saying is come in here and then put a tiny angle right here.
Yeah.
And then the same.
If you're gonna face grind a lot, I mean, I'm pretty substantial. I would put enough angle that the depth at the blotter might be 90 thousandths relative to the outer edge on both sides. If you're going to dress with both sides, because if you don't have enough angle, the wheel breaks down and the contact patch of the side of your wheel gets large enough that it's doing more pushing than grinding. So
yeah, so that's what Robin's saying is if you're face grinding, this is face grinding, okay, not radially grinding, peripheral grinding. So I think we're in violent agreement. Is that first thing you do is you true, okay, and that gets you. That's like the most coarse of the coarse adjustments. Is you got a good tight hub, you put it on the machine. If you were just doing basic peripheral grinding, true the periphery, but I also like the idea of truing the sides of the wheel no matter what, just from a balance point of view, because if you get them square, and then as you wear the wheel, it's not shifting, changing width, etc., etc. So true first. And that answers one of the questions in there. And now if you put that wheel on a balancing stand or you put it between centers and you measured the periphery, you should have a concentric wheel. It will rotate without changing its diameter, its radius. Let's see.
I think Evil's misinterpreted my 90 thousandths. I was talking about the amount of dish in the sides that were dressing on the wheel, not the run out of the wheel.
Yeah. How much?
I was describing an angle by it being 90 thousandths deeper than the outside at the hub, at the blotter. I was describing the dish angle rather than putting an angle on it, because I don't know what that works out to without doing the math.
So you're saying going from kissing it at the periphery,
right,
to being
90 thousandths there.
So this is
an angle.
Right. Yeah. So you're making, if we took a cross section of this wheel, you're making a frustrum.
Keystone out of it. Yeah.
A keystone. Yeah. Yeah. But that, again, I just want to warn you that Robin is talking about the ability to do face grinding with that wheel. So you have to consider the end use. Okay. So now, okay, yeah, we haven't even, Dave G says something that is completely logical, but we haven't even gotten to coolant yet, so hang in there. If you do you use coolant when you true, Robin?
Not typically.
Yeah, I don't typically either.
I think he means that if you're not careful, so if you've been wet grinding, and you just turn the coolant off, shut the wheel off, and leave it, you're going to get a slight imbalance caused by whatever's left in the wheel.
Yeah.
By gravity settling to one side. Then you fire it up again, and you have imbalance from dried coolant in the wheel that has changed the center, the center mass of the wheel. So he's saying let it spin out, let it run for a minute or two, 3, 5, whatever, before you shut it off, if that matters. But we were talking about a brand new wheel, so we didn't discuss, coolant there.
Yeah, good, well put. So that is valid. It's just Eric says he was trained to use coolant when using diamond dressers.
It's excellent practice as far as diamond life. Absolutely. But I usually typically use clusters where you're not worried about maintaining a nice single point sharp for dressing. They are meant to take abuse. And so when I'm doing that kind of dressing, I'm just using a cluster which could care less. And would the diamonds technically last a little longer? Maybe, but not enough for the mess. And I wet grind all the time, so it's not that I'm against coolant, but yeah, that he's absolutely right that if you're single pointing and you want your diamonds to last, coolant is a big help.
So we have mounted the wheel with good grippage. We have put it on the machine and we have trued it. Now we're ready to balance it. So now we go over and we put a ring on it. So actually, before we put a ring on it, you're going to put it on the balancing stand. You're going to let it settle, and you're going to have a light side. And what I do, and you can tell me what you do, Robin. I take a pencil and I make a little mark. You don't have to go crazy. A little mark on the side that is pointing up, and that's the light side. Yes, sir.
One thing we forgot.
Oh,
While you have the wheel on the arbor and everything, you need to weigh your wheel assembly, including the arbor, so that you can subtract out your known non-wheel items from it, so that you know what the wheel weighs. You don't have to take the wheel off every time to weigh it. You subtract the other thing out of it to get the wheel weight.
Yes.
And also measure the diameter accurately.
Excellent point. So in the building of your wheel, measure the wheel weight, measure the diameter, measure the non-wheel stuff on a scale that reads to grams. So you might have to invest as much as $30 to get a gram reading scale. So if you don't have one, go run out and buy one. Not right now, but later, and have that. So that's a very good point, because when you go, go ahead.
For small 8-inch wheel widths and things, to be safe, you probably want to get at least a 2,000 gram scale, because the wheels weigh over 1,000.
Yep.
And you might as well get something that'll handle a wide wheel if you had one.
Right.
So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, 2 kilogram capacity, 1 gram resolution or better. I have a triple beam balance that I bought from like Lab Supply. It really wasn't expensive, and I measure to 1/10 of a gram routinely, but it's not fancy electronic. Dale says, "You mean a 5-pound capacity?" You're starting trouble now, Dale. Okay. So now we're ready. So you have all the information you need. You put this thing, you mark the light side, and now what I do is I take my balancing ring. Let me see if I can show this to you. You see there's a little pencil mark underneath that set screw? So I put the mounting screw right there, because it is, in the B200, this is an intentional imbalance. Okay, the mounting screw is your first weight. You just put it on the light side. Now, Robin's ring, you have your ring handy? Robin has, so his fits in between 2 holes. His mounting screw fits in between 2 holes. Could you point? Yeah, there it is. The letter S. You see the letter S at 12 o'clock? And that kind of fills the hole with the set screw. So it's almost self-canceling. But my standard is to put that at the light side. Once you've done that, you are ready to go to RingCalc. So we go over to RingCalc. We've already leveled our stand, and there's a couple of ways to do that. But let's just say you leveled your stand. You enter your wheel diameter. So let's do an experimental one here. Do you have data from one of your balancings handy?
No, not handy.
All right, then we can make stuff up.
I mean, I can give you something that would be in the ballpark, but
Go ahead. Go ahead. What diameter was your wheel?
uh, 5.99.
Okay, 5.99 inches. What was your approximate mass?
It would be 1,070 minus 460.
So 610.
See here. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, and your non-rotating, your non-wheel mass?
460.
460. Okay. Yeah. So this is what I noticed when we were talking is that the ratio of the wheel mass to your non-rotating mass was much closer to 1, and your rolling arbor was the 0.624.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that Robin's rolling arbor was a different diameter, so that's why you get that as an option when you do the check. Now, we do the flip check. You make sure that you're able to balance the wheel. Now, you have the opportunity to not bother. You could just keep going, but it'll save you if you have to. So we just observed the light side hole. So let's just say, what do you suppose? Will you?
It was, in my case, it was H for or excuse me, it was PQ for the light side.
Yeah. Okay. This light side doesn't matter much. We'll just say P.
Okay. Right.
And then
that's right. It's yeah.
And then you did your first reversal, right?
Yep.
And
left was H.
So left was H, which is over here. And what was the other one?
The right was 1213.
So here's a good example of using our mid hole, 1213. And what was your TTB?
19.5.
19.5 right out of the gate. And we have our goal set at 60 because, good enough is not good enough. And you're allowed.
I unchecked the M4 by 12 at the bottom. Oh, wait. No, yeah, that one. Yep.
Everything else was in stock.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And we're going for best balance. We calculate screw locations, click, and we go up here and it says fill 2 holes. Put an M4 by 3 in hole Q and an M4 by 8
memory wise,
that's
very close to what I did. Yep.
So what if you look down here, it says it calculated that you had a 0.87 gram inch, sorry, evils, imbalance. You were able to calculate a correction that was 0.86, so you had 0.01 left over.
Yep.
And we hit, I have installed these. Now watch what happens.
Yep.
See little dots up there? Okay, I have installed these. And it says a little slash mark on the 2 screws. And it confirms that they were installed.
Now you need a straight blade screwdriver to get them out.
Yeah. That's right. We've just converted these from a hex to a straight blade. And what was your following TTB?
It was 34.
So now we hit 34. So close. We don't have to change anything. Oh, well, what were your reversals on that? Yep.
Yeah. The light was QR. So if you want to change the
change that to Q. And
then it was HI.
HI.
It moved just a little bit, and 11.
And 11. 34 seconds.
Yep.
So we go down here and we say, keep the screws, calculate the fine tuning, and let's see what it tells us. It says, hey, take out that M4 by 3 and put it in an M4 by 6 at Q.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. So we're pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. And now what does it say? What was your TTB after that?
Oh, it is 58.
50.
So yeah. So I didn't even bother going anywhere
Okay.
from that.
Yeah. So this was the final solution. Now, did we spend 10 minutes on this right now? I don't think so. So we literally went through the entire process live with you guys. So there it is. And we hit 58 seconds, which I don't know about you, but that's nuts. Evil says CGS or GTFO. Oh man. What else? I'm just looking to make sure I didn't miss any clever remarks here. So that's the story. Here's what we did this week. Let's just wrap it up. We took your ring and we got it. We trained RingCalc on it. We made the ring selection a variable, or I should say, a pull down from our library. Okay. And it works. And we also, I think this is a very important point, we improved the algorithm because now the algorithm is aware of the inertia of the hub better. And it's working great. So is this an improvement in process? Robin, do you think this is better than...
This is excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree. I think this is now we do have a things to do list, right? I'll share one of them, but believe me, we're thinking of things to improve the tool. And one of the things, and I think this was an excellent one, and you guys if you were watching closely, instead of entering these numbers as a pull down, we can go over to the screen and click on the graphic to enter the numbers. So that's coming, and I think that's going to speed things up. Now, I know from a practical point of view, some of you are going to use this on your phone, right? So the software actually knows about the phone, and version 1, which is live, if you use it on your phone, it will work. It reformats to the phone, and it works great. So you could be at the grinder with your phone doing this instead of having to run over to the computer. But that's basically it. Very, very exciting week. Eager intern was very proud, puffing out his chest. He wanted more cookies. Mr. Tim Beatty says, do you worry about a moment induced by the weights being on one side of the wheel? That's a very good question. No. So there are applications where you care very much about the location of the center of gravity with respect to the plane of the wheel. I'm afraid we're not going to care on this go around. What do you say, Robin?
Yeah, this is something where basically you're worrying about dynamically balancing the wheel, where you're assessing more than a single plane and correcting on two planes, and the amount of moment forces that are generated on this. Number one, they're constant. So it's not something that's going to cause a facial wobble, meaning because it's alternating as opposed to the radial aspects of it. So yeah, it's not of any consequence on this. If you're doing, super heavy 6-inch wide wheels or something at high RPMs, then it might be a different story where you do each side independently, but you can't do that with this method. You'd have to have a whole completely different way of doing this. You can't use TTB on anything but a single plane correction.
Mr. Eric Moore says this would be well suited to being in an app store or getting included in another app. So, yeah, I'm not so interested in doing that right now because you could just go to pfg.gg/RingCalc and it's there, and we could make changes and publish it like instantly. So I'm not too interested in making it a standalone app. It literally runs in the browser. So it doesn't require any any fanciness. Any other questions, comments, concerns, complaints?
I'd like to have an argument, please.
Or arguments, that's fine. Robin, thanks for not only coming on and discussing this with us, but being such a good collaborator this week. That was a lot of fun getting it to where it is.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep doing it. Bishop Metal says, I like how I can feel somehow smarter and dumber at the same time. You gentlemen are great for sharing your knowledge. Thank you, sir. You're the thing about trying to get smarter is you realize how dumb you are. It's like every time I think I know something, it's like, well, it's not really.
That's why we use the term practitioner, not a master.
That's right. And
continue.
A famous person once said,
I am not an expert.
And I think you know who that was. Although another person also once said,
I'll have you know I am an expert.
And I know who that is. Oh, awesome. Okay, well, if you guys want to play with RingCalc, version 1 is public. I will get version 2 to a... Well, we're going to wait and see. If there is a reason to... like Robin's rings are Robin's rings. They're not for sale. If there's a reason that they should be for sale, we've been talking about that. We could make that happen. And the three weight thing, I think we could eventually make that happen also. But for now, get yourself a B200 balancing ring. If you don't have a balancing stand, get yourself a B200 balancing stand. What is this, Unix? I'm afraid to play this video. It's a balance. Did your kiddo do that? Oh, that's so awesome. Unix is training his kiddo on balancing. Very good. Nicely done. Oh, I see. Oh, these are those cakes. We're getting out of control. So all of our podcast listeners are wondering, what the heck are they looking at? Onigiri. It's a rice cake, if I got that correct. They're round rice balls from 7-Eleven, onigiri, and you're balancing them? Are you balancing them? Oh, man. So let's do a little commercial here. If you want to get yourself a... Here's what the B200, the BS8 balancing stand looks like. This is actually a prototype because the production ones are better. And this is all you need. This comes with everything you need, including the balancing arbor, which is cleverly resin printed, as you saw several times in our video today. And you can go ahead and inexpensively, which was the whole goal of the BS8 balancing stand and the B200 balancing ring, the whole goal was to keep the costs down so you could get too balanced without spending $1 zillion. So you could head over to PFGstones.com or go directly to PFG.GG/BAL or PFG.GG/ring. If you want to play with the software, go to PFG.GG/RingCalc. And if you want to be a complete and total nerd, go over to PFG.GG/TTB for the full technical disclosure on the time to balance method. I don't recommend you do it unless you are seated comfortably and have an antacid handy. Robin, thank you so much for being there. I appreciate you.
Same here.
All right, guys, we'll see you over in the after-party roundtable. And if you need something flat, you can go over to pfgstones.com. Otherwise, please get flat, stay flat, and we'll see you guys next week.